Got a huge project I'm going to tackle with the BX this summer, and I'd really like some input from all our subscribers out there as to how I can get this done, because it's pretty new to me. What's going on, everybody? I am out here, just wrapped up dinner. I was working on a project a little bit earlier. We finished dinner. I came back out here because it was super hot earlier, and now it's temperature starting to drop. I was watching a little bit of Ed over at My Cluttered Garage. He's got his live stream going on Monday night, so I was checking that out. But I'm going to turn this off now. Sorry, Ed. I'm going to go. I'll watch it later. But I'm going to take you down the driveway because we have a project coming up, and it's something new for me. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to go about tackling it. I want input from you guys. So let's go check that out. So I wanted to take you down. Oh, hang on, let's take this off. So I wanted to take you down the driveway because the project that we're going to be embarking on is redoing the whole driveway from down behind me there all the way up past the Kubota that way. 850 feet. It's been a while since I measured it. I forget. But that's from the road up to the apron in front of the garage there. I'll give you the backstory on this. We bought the house in 2016, and back then it was fine. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It was I'll put it that way. It was used, but passable, plowable, snow blowable. We had a plow truck for the first 2 years we lived here. 77 Dodge, I missed that thing. And it plowed great. And then we went to the snow blower on the front end of the BX. We're now 5 years in on our property, and it's bad. So we're maybe halfway down the driveway right now. The road is right kind of over here behind that bend. Actually, we'll just go around the bend so you can see. All right, so we're at our power pole. You can see the road right there. And down here, not so bad. If I lower the camera, you can see that there's a pretty good hump in the driveway, which is not the end of the world. But you can see that we have runoff down the driveway on both sides. So that's not good. And then you can see right here, again, if I get the camera low, that we've got rocks right there that are coming up. This one's actually not that bad. But if we walk just a little bit further up the driveway, you've got one right there, one right back there. You've got a big one right over there, actually sticking right out the side. That I've caught that more than one occasion on the side of the snowblower. And you can see here we're still dealing with runoff coming down the driveway. There's that big rock. You can kind of see it better if you get down. And part of the issue is that there really isn't a good way to set up drainage on this driveway, because you've got trees right next to it in many places, so you can't really ditch it. Remember that power pole that's right there too, because we're going to be talking about that again in a minute. But you can't really ditch it. It's super rocky. It's almost elevated on the sides over here. There's another rock you can see is coming up. Another rock right there. And if we just keep walking, see pothole there, whole lot of drainage. Over where the tractor's parked right now is probably the worst of it. You got a rock right there. You got a dugout bank right there. Another rock there. Rocks in there. Rock, 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 rock. This one's pretty big right there. We've been going around it. Pothole next to a rock. Another pothole. Some rocks right there. And then again, those drainage issues all the way up. It's getting to the point where the mail delivery and Amazon people, they don't like coming up the driveway. FedEx stopped coming up a long time ago. Prime and the USPS, they'll still come up the driveway, but it's rough. I mean, you just see them coming up and down in the vans is terrible. Part of the issue that I'm running into is if you're coming down the driveway, the right-hand side over here is pretty wet. There's a stream on the far end of the property line that some water runs down and into, but from the stream it comes up a little bit in elevation and actually drains back onto the driveway. So there's water coming into the driveway almost the entire way. The left-hand side of the driveway is not that bad. Any water that falls over there tends to drain away, but the whole thing starts up in the yard. I'm gonna hop back on the tractor here and take you up to the yard so you can see kind of what we're dealing with up there. All right, so behind me you can see what we're kind of working with up here, and that is mainly a yard that slopes into the driveway there. There's a little bit kind of behind those lilies that you see right there. It dips off in kind of a way, but the yard right here behind these IBC totes kind of funnels to the driveway. Over here, not so bad. That kind of funnels away from the driveway, but you can see if you look here, there's actually from in front of the garage, it all goes right down and down the driveway. Two decent ruts right there, nothing crazy. A few rocks. Really down the driveway is where it gets worse. So now's the part where we talk over kind of what I'm thinking and the reasons why I'm thinking it, because there are a few things we have to deal with. Remember that power pole I showed you halfway down the driveway? That is the point where our power comes in from the street and is routed underground into conduit. And rather than running that conduit up the side of the driveway or through the woods next to it, the power was run basically up one side of the driveway, up one of those tire ruts. Wouldn't be such a big deal. However, we had DigSafe out a couple years ago. We were doing some tree planting, and just for giggles, I had them run the power line from the pole up. I wanted to know where it was, and it runs underneath the driveway, underneath one of those ruts. Anywhere from 6 to 12 inches is what the guy told me, the whole way up essentially. He didn't even put flags in it because we wouldn't have been able to get down the driveway. We would have been running over the flags. That's something I have to deal with. Getting essentially any really heavy equipment in here and digging out what's in the driveway, even just digging out those rocks that are there. I really don't like the idea of that, just because they could be, who knows how big they are and how close they are. And the last thing you want to do is pull up a huge boulder that's nestled up against the electrical conduit. So obviously I'm going to have DigSafe out again, and I'm going to really, kind of pressure the guy, because the first time, it was a kid that came out. He was relatively young, and I know those guys are supposed to be trained, but You know, I don't know how exact he was. And so obviously having dig safe out is important. But as of right now, I'm operating under the pretense that I can't do any heavy digging in the driveway. That's really the big issue I have. Other than that, I mean, we're limited really only, I'd like to keep it under $5,000. And really that's going to be mostly materials, obviously. If I do have to get somebody in with like a Mini X, or if I have to rent a Mini X, I could take those rocks out myself. That's where I feel like the main tricky work is going to be. Everything else seems pretty straightforward. Here's what I'm thinking. I have the BX. I have a 4-foot box blade coming. What I'm thinking is order materials from a local supplier, get some dump trucks in here, 1.5 inch gravel. I don't know if I'm crazy. I don't know if I should lay down 3-4 inch gravel, then put a layer of 2-inch gravel, then put a layer of 1.5 inch on top of all that. I don't know if I need to put that many layers down. The one thing I'm kind of thinking, and tell me if I'm crazy, this is really, you know, I want help from everyone because I don't know how to do this. This is me stepping into this for the first time. The driveway has, because of the way it's kind of been sunken in, it's got that natural kind of cup. It's got the sides flared to it. I'm wondering if I just go with 1.5 inch gravel, kind of the natural soil, the way it's set up right now, will just hold that gravel in place. I don't expect to see the gravel washing down the driveway. We do get some water, but not that much. And with a box blade and gravel there, any gravel that does get washed a little bit down, I can bring back up. It's not a huge issue. So maintaining it is good. It's just at this point, we haven't really had any material there to maintain. It's just been dirt, sand, and boulders, which is, you know, you can only do so much with a York rake, with a borrowed York rake even, in that regard. So I guess this is my plea. If you know more about this than I do, let me know what I should be doing, what I should be looking to do, and how I can keep this whole project relatively in budget, because I'm not looking to drop tons and tons of money on this. I'd really like to keep it, like I said, under $5,000. If it's not possible, I understand and I get it, and we could throw more at it. You know, I'm willing to put in as much sweat equity as I can do, whether that's on rented equipment or if it's with the BX. Honestly, I think, you know, the BX with a box blade on the rear, and if I get dump truck drivers that know what they're doing and kind of spread the gravel out on their way down the driveway, I think that part I can manage. But my biggest concern is just the work that goes in before laying down the gravel, and what do I need to do? What do I actually need to do as far as earthwork, bearing in mind that there's an electrical conduit running up the driveway as close as 6 inches to the surface. If you have any ideas, if you have any knowledge of this, I'd love to hear it. Leave it in the comments down below. And subscribe to the channel if you're interested in seeing kind of how this whole thing pans out. It's going to be the biggest project I undertake with the BX to date. It's going to be the biggest thing I've done. I'm a little bit nervous about it. I'm wondering if I'm a little undergunned. You know, that thing back there, you know, it's a great tractor, but it is little. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.